Hello there, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba. What is your name?
I'm Salamander.
If you don't know Salamander Sally LaMonaco of the Sally of the Fishes, you gotta go check out her YouTube channel as soon as you can. Hey guys, we're gonna watch this video from Screen Rant, an awesome movie channel. 22 deleted Pokemon scenes that never made it to America.
We all know those 90s cartoons that have those innuendos.
Ooh, yeah, buddy. Hey, guys, listen, before we do this, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's followed us over at our Patreon page. Over there, we do weekly Q&As as well as TV show reaction stream-alongs for many shows. That includes My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, One Punch Man, Supernatural, Gotham, Cobra Kai Season 2, and The Haunting of Hill House. And several of those shows have reaction highlights included. Those are Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Supernatural. So go check us out over there today, and then later on check out her channel.
Yeah, no, that's the last thing.
Men first.
Pokemon has been on the air and beloved by fans since it first came out in 1997. While fans in North America might think they know everything about their favorite animated franchise, they might be surprised to learn that there are actually a ton of deleted scenes that never made it from overseas and to their living rooms. Anime has never been as squeamish about things like showing a little extra skin in the same way that American TV shows often have to be to get past censors, which often results in shows having to be altered from their original versions before making it to the US.
Interesting.
The Pokemon episode Beauty and the Beach is one episode in particular that had to be seriously edited before it was given the okay to air. Mostly because of a scene where, once the gang makes it to the Porta Vista Beach and are enjoying some fun in the sun, we see Team Rocket's James like we've never seen him before. He cross-dresses in the episode.
Whoa!
And a couple jokes to his female friends about the two round balloons, and this is the reason American censors gave him
Did he get a sex change?
Years later, these scenes were cut, and Beauty and the Beach was eventually released as a lost episode. We're sensing a bit of a pattern here, and you'll soon understand what we mean. Another scene that was deemed too scandalous for American eyes was from an episode titled Got Miltank. That aired in the States in 2002.
Okay.
In the episode, we see Cyndaquil and Meowth wind up lost in the desert, badly hurt and separated from the rest of the group. In order to survive, they're taken to a Miltank, who is able to heal them if they drink its healing milk drink ability. Only in the original Japanese version, the two drink from it like a baby calf might, which proved just a little too raunchy for American sensibilities. So, the scene was...
Oh my god!
Remember that pattern we mentioned a minute ago? Well, we got another one for you coming right up. Only with this one, we kind of understand why the censors weren't so keen to have it air on American TV.
Wow.
In the episode, The Kangaskhan Kid, Misty, Ash, and Brock meet a young boy who was raised by Kangaskhan, a la The Jungle Book. Only instead of some fun songs about the bare necessities and all that, this episode took a bit of a creepy turn. In the scene that was deleted, the young boy asks Misty if he can, well, drink from her. You get the picture. The camera zooms in on her chest as she smacks the boy out of the way. Rightly so, we might add.
This is not my childhood!
No, this is, I told you!
The video games were often found to be a little more saucy than was appreciated. In more ways than one. Take Pokemon Gold and Silver, for instance. In that game, the beauty trainer was depicted in a blue and white outfit that included a pair of shorts. For the American release, the makers of the game actually had to add a few inches onto the length, taking them from mid-thigh to knee level.
Good!
The shorts were deemed just too scandalous. It might seem like a lot of work for a tiny detail, and it is.
8-bit slut.
While American movies are pretty gun-happy these days, usually they come with at least a PG-13 rating. Well, the creators of Pokemon felt that it wasn't such a big deal to feature an episode packed full of guns, most of the time being pointed at kids. So, you know what happened there. The episode The Legend of Dratini was banned entirely because there was just so much gun brandishing that they couldn't edit it out with any episode left to spare. Particularly, a moment in which the game warden of the Safari Zone points a gun squarely between Ash's eyes at point-blank range. While we never fired it, we can see how this might have set off a couple of alarm bells.
Not in this day and age.
Totally understand
No,
why
yeah.
having a gun directly pointed at your preteen protagonist maybe isn't the best influence. Sometimes these edits become a little bit silly. Take, for example, a scene that was changed in the episode Snow Way Out. During the episode, we see Meowth and Team Rocket struggling to survive inside a freezing igloo. While James ponders what the crew are going to do to survive, Meowth takes out a couple of matches and lights one to keep warm. In the American version, his match was changed to a birthday candle in an effort to discourage children from using matches. Which
What?
sure is a good thing to
That's
do.
dumb.
But it's
Why
also a tiny bit of an overreaction.
Why is
if you
this
ask
like
us.
number?
No one really anticipated what a
What
huge
is this?
phenomenon
I don't know.
Pokemon cards were going to become in North America. So when they became the most coveted item
I
on the
own all
planet,
those.
American
Yeah.
distributors became extra diligent about making sure the images of the cards were family friendly. The original
Why
versions of
wouldn't they
some
be?
were definitely not, like in the case of the Grimer card. In the Japanese version, he is seen peeking out from under a manhole cover.
Oh God!
Oh
He
my
appears to
god!
be in a school uniform and everything. Well, that definitely didn't fly.
Oh
His
my-
eyes were changed into a much friendlier, cross-eyed expression
Oh my
before it was released in the good old
Could we
US
just
game.
point the eyes somewhere
If
else?
there's one thing a children's TV show shouldn't have, it's references to one of the most horrifying wars of all time, right? That's not such a crazy idea, is it? You think so, but in the case of Pokemon, that was apparently not so obvious. In the episode All Things Bright and Beautify, there is a scene that features Meowth, James, and Jessie talking to a big group of Team Rocket grunts, all in their standard uniform. Then in one very startling moment, everyone does the exact same salute
Oh my
that the
God.
German Army made infamous during World War II. In
Oh
terrifying
my
unison.
god.
It was obviously cut for American audiences, and we have no questions as to
But not
why.
German audiences.
Another thing that the censors wanted to avoid when dealing with a children's cartoon was alcohol. While it's always hard to tell what an animated character is eating or drinking, they took no chances with the possibility that they might be making drinking look glamorous or appealing to the younger set.
Always
So in the
is.
episode Critical Situation, Bakuang versus Juktile, they made a very subtle switch. Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, is seen sipping on wine out of a standard long-stemmed wine glass. For broadcast in the States, the stem was removed to make it more ambiguous. It's not hard
Yeah.
to understand why the episode The Tower of Terror was altered for American broadcast after the events of 9/11, or why the network would no longer want an episode airing with a title like that. Well, it did originally air in the States in 1998. Immediately after the national tragedy, the episode was removed. They also pulled the episode from broadcast entirely after September 11th, only choosing to put it back into rotation over a year later. Funny enough, the United States is the only place where the episode has this title. It's otherwise known as Capture at the Pokemon Tower. And if they had stuck with that, it might not have had to be pulled out of the lineup in the first place.
We will not change
While
this
most
title.
cartoon violence is acceptable on TV these days, cartoon nudity is still pretty taboo in America. It is a kid's show, after all. So, in order for the opening song to be appropriate for Western audiences, there was actually a lyric that had to be edited out from the original version. While the song remains completely epic, and one of the best anthems ever, it once contained a lyric that might make some parents squirm. It used to go, "I'll get you, Pokemon, even in fire, in grass, in forests, in ground, in clouds, and that girl's skirt," followed by a little scream. Huh. Not all changes and cuts are made because they're deemed too offensive or inappropriate. Sometimes it's just a matter of translation between cultures. The episode The Ghosts of Maiden's Peak is a perfect example of that. In the episode, we see the characters using something called Ofuda in order to protect themselves from Ghastly. Ofuda is a Shinto talisman that is common and would be well known in Japanese culture, but would be difficult to explain to American children in a short amount of time. So, for the West, Ofuda was changed to anti-ghost stickers, which, while not really the same thing, did the job. Kids love stickers. Or
Yes.
they did before they all had iPads. Sometimes it's not just a scene or a lyric that needs to be changed up for a different audience, but a big part of the design of a character entirely. This didn't happen much, but one character in particular proved a little bit problematic, to say the least. We all know Jinx, the purple-skinned, blonde-haired humanoid who resembles a woman, sort of. Well, in Jinx's original design, she looked a little different. Instead of purple, her skin was black, which immediately set off alarm bells as she looked way too much like an old racist stereotype that has long been considered very offensive. After some serious backlash, her skin color was changed into the purple we know and love today. Remember the episode The Tower of
Interesting.
Terror that we mentioned earlier? Well, it turns out it wasn't the only episode of Pokemon that had to be taken off the air surrounding the events of 9/11. Another one, titled Tentacool and Tentacruel, that originally aired in '98, was removed from broadcasting entirely after the September 11th attacks. It wasn't directly insensitive towards the tragedy, but was just a little too close to home to be comfortable. In the episode, we see Tentacruel on a rampage and destroying a bunch of skyscrapers in its wake. One of them happened to look just like the World Trade Center, so you can see why the television network wouldn't want this episode on the air. No body part seems to cause quite as many problems with the censors as a woman's chest, even if that chest in question actually belongs to a cartoon dinosaur. We're talking about Nidoqueen, whose battle cry had to be changed for American audiences in the game Pokemon Stadium. And yes, we know she's not actually a dinosaur, but let's be real here, she could totally pass for one. Anyway, originally, when a user selected Nidoqueen for battle, she would grab her pectoral area for emphasis. This, of course, was deemed inappropriate, and her battle cry was changed for the American version of the game so as not to make anyone
That's what Sally did before we filmed.
Made from the original version came from the Pokemon
Let's do
Black
this.
and White era video games. And then we were introduced to a character named Lenora, a gym leader whose costume featured a pink apron. While that might not sound like a big deal, Lenora is one of the only black characters in the Pokemon universe, and to make her a maid was just, well, it wasn't the best. Originally in the game, the user was required to answer a bunch of cooking quizzes before the battle as well. For the American version, Lenora's apron was removed, and the cooking challenges were replaced with trivia, so as not to pigeonhole this character as a stereotype. Sometimes it feels like the creators of Pokemon often forget that their main characters are actual children, specifically when it comes to Misty. While she has mostly been treated with care, every now and then something that verged on creepy had to be adjusted before it could make it to North America. Like one of her trading cards. In the original version of a trainer card called Misty's Tears, Misty is actually portrayed totally nude. This clearly did not fly in the West, so the image was changed to feature Squirtle wiping away the tears on Misty's cheek, while a strap from her shirt can clearly be seen, just to make absolutely clear that she was in fact clothed. While so far it has mostly been the women who have taken the brunt of the censorship, there is actually one case in which a male character's outfit was seen as too racy for Western eyes as well. In Pokemon Gold and Silver, there were some male swimmer trainer characters, along with some female ones as well. Originally in its design, the male trainer wore a teeny Olympic-style Speedo. For all the international versions of the game, it was altered to a pair of more acceptable trunks. What's funny is that the female trainers are still pictured in bikinis, whose bottoms are not unlike a Speedo themselves, and remain uncensored for the game's release. Things like violence and underage nudity we can understand censoring, but when it comes to food, we get a little bit more confused. Specifically, rice, one of the most common and absolutely essential foods in Japanese cuisine. So much so that children will often pack a ball of rice held together with seaweed known as onigiri in their lunches. Well, when the American network began dubbing Pokemon in English, they bizarrely had a huge problem with rice. They even went so far as to have Brock refer to his onigiri as delicious jelly donuts, and later would actually edit out the rice and replace it with hamburgers. When it came out in 1999, Pokemon the first movie was a massive success. What you might not have realized is that there was actually a pretty big difference between the Japanese and American versions of the film. Apparently, after the movie was released in Japan, an American distributor had some thoughts about how American audiences would relate better to an altered version of the story. In the original version, Mewtwo was less of a straightforward bad guy, and was given a scene at the beginning that detailed his backstory and motivations. But according to the American notes, Western audiences needed a more black and white villain for the good guys to defeat, so the scene was removed and his story changed forever. Everything has an ending, and even Pokemon was supposed to conclude eventually. And actually, the anime was supposed to end after the release of the very first movie, but it was so successful and made so much money internationally that the studios felt they had to keep going. We know it was supposed to end because in early Japanese trailers for the film, there's a shot of an older Misty next to a young girl, who she seems quite close with.
Whoa!
Pikachu is very comfortable and close with the child, which led most to believe that this was part of a flash forward into Ash and Misty's future as parents. Of course, this was changed, and Ash and Misty have remained.
That changes everything.
I know.
Of course, we couldn't finish without mentioning the most infamous Pokemon episode that was pulled from broadcast entirely. Yeah, we're talking about Cyber Soldier Porygon. The episode with animation so flashy and vibrant that it actually caused thousands of children in Japan to succumb to seizures.
Jesus.
The episode aired only one time in Japan and was never seen again.
Oh my
But
God.
the incident was heard around the world and would even go on to be parodied by The Simpsons with a joke featuring a show called Battling Now, the official websites didn't even mention its existence.
So
But
That was
unfortunately
funny.
for them, fans remember everything. Would you love to go back and check out all the uncensored
That's
Japanese
crazy.
originals or what? Or do you think that these changes were a good thing for American audiences?
No.
Let us know down below, and we
Jinx
hope you
should have been
enjoyed the video.
a black woman.
Stop.
Would have flown by well. Wow, there's so much in there. That was so much fun. That was 22. I thought 22 might be excessive to watch.
Yeah. He went pretty fast. There was a lot.
There's a lot in there. Before we hop into what this video talked about, did you know that when John and I were young, and what made us best friends was because we were so into Pokemon, and that's what we would talk about. Flash forward to 4th grade. This was 3rd grade, right? Around 4th grade time, there was a Pokemon album that came out featuring, of course, the main title song with the extended edition, which had the awesome guitar solo on it. But there was a song called Misty's Song, where she's confessing her love for Ash.
What?
John had a major crush on Misty, and we all humiliated him at school.
That's
Hence,
amazing.
self-conscious white boy today.
True that.
In his late 20s. I'm very much responsible for a lot of his emotional development. Anyway, this video was fascinating. So many sexual changes.
I told you. I was like, watch. These cartoons from the 90s are so popular for trying to put innuendos in there.
It's fascinating how it seems like in Asia, or I don't know about Asia, but Japan and Europe, they're a lot more comfortable with sexuality. And even though there was some stuff about violent things, we talked about the gun episode, we're generally more comfortable with violence. Like he brought the thing about guns in PG-13.
Yeah.
Where in other parts of the world, that's a lot more, no, that's not okay,
Yeah.
but sexuality is okay. And it's funny how much we shy away from them. Because some of these are, like, pretty raunchy, like, for American culture, I gotta say.
I mean, the shot of him, like, drinking from the udder was just, like, I can't see that.
Yeah, like,
being
that was
necessary.
shocking. Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It's
I don't
very
know.
yeah, it's very uncomfortable. Or, James with the inflatable breasts.
What is that?
Yeah, like, there's some things that are very direct. But then there's other things that are just, like, a little ridiculous to me, that they were showing, what was it, a game character who had a skirt, and then they had to slightly extend the skirt to cover
or even
more
the
thigh.
guys with the Speedos. I'm like, it's just a Speedo. Like,
Yeah.
what do you swim in? I don't know.
Although when I wear a Speedo at the beach, I am often yelled at and or arrested, so it kind of makes sense to me. Other than what the cops are saying and what the accusers are saying, I'm pretty sure it's because they think I'm just too good looking and my body's just too sexy to be on the beach in a Speedo that they have me arrested.
It's just, like, distracting.
Yeah, it's not because things are actually falling out by accident in front of families at the beach.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of 9/11 things they had to change here.
Good problem to have.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that were in reference to 9/11 that I'm like, wouldn't a couple of simple changes
The
have
tower
sufficed?
one, they could have just, like you said, changed the title and it probably would have been fine. It didn't look like anything.
Yeah, it
about
wasn't
9/11.
like, oh yeah, 9/11, all those ghosts attacked on 9/11.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the situation.
I can understand the other one where he's like
Giant
shooting
tentacle
down.
monster.
Yeah, when he's just shooting down the towers like that. Yeah, I can see that one being pulled.
For the time it came out,
the time.
that definitely makes sense. Because nowadays we get so many destruction in movies all the time that it's not a big deal. But I guess at the time that does make sense. But they said it was primarily due to one building looking like the World Trade Center. Why didn't you just change the one building? Change the one building. That's it. So, yeah, a lot of sexual changes, primarily sexual stuff. But there was a couple of, keynote things in terms of plot that totally wowed me.
Give me 1 second.
You.
Stop. But I was, trying to find, a good... I was almost about to, cough on you. Okay.
I once told a girl on the beach when I was wearing a Speedo to cough on me, and that's part of what got me arrested.
You're so weird. I hope you got something.
I did. A ticket. The Misty and Ash ending that the show was supposed to end
That's
after the first movie.
shocking.
That is so shocking.
Yeah.
And the show, he's supposed to go to Viridian City, compete in the big tournament, and then in the show he lost. And as a viewer, even at a very young age, I was like, screw this show. I stopped watching after it because I've been watching for years for him to get to Viridian City and win, and my teenage years expectation was like, no, I'm done. He lost.
They
I don't
were
want
too
to do it.
realistic for a kid
Yeah,
audience.
now they want to keep the show going. Come on.
Nah.
Yeah, just dragging this out now. I don't know how the show ended with Ash's storyline, but having that flash forward sequence that was like cut out of the promos that Misty and Ash would have ended up together, maybe had children. Oh,
That's crazy. They should have done like a re-release later, probably to make more money.
Yeah.
Like just like the original story. I don't know.
and they were saying how Mewtwo had a whole backstory that they cut out too because they wanted to make him a black and white villain and less nuanced. Which is funny because I watched Detective Pikachu and the Mewtwo character in there seems very derivative of the portrayal in Pokemon, the first movie. Which, by the way, Sally, they said they're going to start up a Pokemon cinematic universe, which got me so excited.
I could be Misty.
You could be Misty. Why get an Asian actress?
I'm joking.
Get a white girl.
Detective Pikachu had nothing to do with like,
Nah, they were in Japan.
but like the characters.
The character was black.
Why couldn't he have been Asian?
I don't know. And there
I'm
was
kidding.
a white female
Yeah,
co-lead.
that's what I mean. Is it
And then
could've
there
been
was
Asian?
white bad guys. There's one Japanese guy in there. It's diverse, you know what I mean? The seizure episode, that's hilarious to me. Just
Why
thousands
is that
of
funny
kids
to you?
having
Kids
seizures.
are like freaking out. The way that The Simpsons portrayed it made it funny, but
They certainly did. It's just something just gone so terribly
oh
wrong.
my gosh.
I mean, are these kids who are prone to seizures already? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Or is this their first time having seizures? It's not funny, okay? We live in sensitive Twitter times. I know.
I just can't picture a cartoon being able to cause seizures. I like wonder how intense was the flashes.
How close were they to the
to the
television?
TV? Yeah.
To me, it sounds like 50% the show's fault.
50% the parents.
bad parenting.
Yeah.
Shut up, sit here,
If you
watch
know
the
your
show.
kid has
Yeah.
seizures, I would say maybe don't watch that much TV.
Don't watch TV so
But-
close. That's insane. Poor kids.
Yeah.
No one died, right? So we
No.
could find it kind of funny.
No, no one died.
If anyone died, it wouldn't be funny. But because no one died, it's kind of funny. But
Like-
see, having seizures is not funny. It's
Imagine
scary.
like saying that story as an adult. You found out you had seizures because you were watching Pokemon.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's
I'm sorry, that's funny.
oh my god.
If I was like grew up and I'm like, oh, actually one time I was watching Pokemon, it gave me a seizure. Like that's funny.
But you'd be like scarred for life. Then you couldn't like watch Pokemon after that.
I mean, that's like the dark twisted route you could take if the kid wants to grow up and be a pussy.
Like, have you ever been sick and thrown up while watching a movie and then you like, can't watch it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
All right. I want to clarify. The concept is funny. Seizures are not funny.
No. No.
All right, guys. Well, did you like this? Are you agree with the changes us Americans have made to Pokemon? Because we got to steer clear of racist thoughts.
The food thing was ridiculous.
A little bit.
A little ridiculous.
A little bit. But I agree. Can't have rice in my cartoons. Hell with that. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. If you like this video, sure, hit that like button. Follow Sally on her YouTube channel and on social media, where
I do very weird things.
I think I saw recently she posts bikini photos to get you to watch her videos.
And
That's
then I hit it. so
smart.
You gotta be fast with me.
It's very, very clever. And then the videos are all her in a bikini, so you're just as
Not-
satisfied.
No, it's me in a throwaway.
That's how you do it.
Clickbait.
You subvert expectations. And hey, I'm going to give a Patron of the Day shout out to a man named JT, our Japanese man from Hawaii. He messaged me and said, Detective Pikachu is the best video game movie I have ever seen. I am glad you are satisfied. And the fact that you were actually Japanese, I hope that you can go to a casting call one day and not get hired and instead be told they're looking for a white person to play that role.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. That's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed this shout out, JT.
No.
I saw your message on Twitter. I will make time to watch Booksmart just for you.
got hit in the face with a water balloon on Booksmart. You don't
Go support that movie.
You don't. Go support women. Booksmart. Yay.